Welcome to the show, everybody. Joseph Robert, the fantasy football counselor. Happy Thursday. We are talking starts and sits, and guess who is back to the show?
The other bald guy.
Everybody's getting used to the other bald guy. Some people saying he's better than you. Some people saying you're better than him. There's a little bit of controversy.
We're totally different. I'll give you that. So I kind of like you, focus a lot on fantasy, but I still love real football too. I love the game itself. Tom knows the game, man. Tom really is in it. He's a sports agent or a former sports agent. So he knows what's going on. He knows a lot of deals. He knows a lot of people around football. Two different perspectives.
I like you showing some respect to Mr. Tommy Guns. He doesn't say much about you, so we got to get him talking nice.
You bastard. Yeah. Come on, Tom, the other bald guy.
Exactly. So week 5 starts and sits today, guys. We're going to go through every single position, right? We're going to start with quarterback. We go wide receiver, tight end, and running back, and we're going to give you starts and sits. And I try to make this episode as complete as possible because we get those starts and sits questions throughout the week. Do I start this guy, this guy? Well, listen to the starts and sits show. That'll give you a better indication on if that player is good or not. Invest the time, guys. It's your lineup. It's your league. It's bragging rights. We're going to week 5. You got to win, right, Tim?
Yeah, so let me tell you, last week I finally picked up my first win. Yes, KC defense killed it for me. I had a lot of good players. I was in a GPP pool. I did great there, except I lost Eckler so early in the game. That hurt. So I ended up finishing 40 out of 500. If I had Eckler for that whole game, man, that would have been like a top 10 finish.
A lot of people said you missed Monday's show because of the Eckler loss. So
I was too busy crying in bed.
No, seriously, they're saying Tim just doesn't want to face it. He doesn't want to face the music. He doesn't want to face us. So,
guys, it's an injury. I give Joe crap all the time for dumping on players for injuries. You know, it's part of the game. It happens.
Well, listen, Eckler's down. I didn't call the injury, but I called the fact that I don't want Eckler this year. So I dodged that bullet just because I didn't draft him. And Chubb's down, and he's down. Saquon's down. I kind of eat crow for that. But a lot of guys are going down. As much as criticism I'm getting in regards to David Johnson and Todd Gurley, which I'm getting a lot of criticism. You know, it's funny. I reverse jinxed it. Did you watch that during the game? He was doing terrible during the last game. When was it? Sunday Night Football? When were they playing? It was Monday Night Football with the Packers and the Falcons. And I said, I'm done with Gurley. He sucks. I'm done with the Falcons. And sure enough, he scores 2 touchdowns after. Everyone calls that a reverse jinx. So
so they're going to want you to talk crap about their players more often.
Yeah, I'm going to start doing that more often. All right, a couple of things, guys, I want to make you aware. Also, manscaped.com, guys, use this amazing Manscaped Lawnmower 3.0. You can get this, guys, using promo code ShowerLine. Save some money on it. Amazing male products. Females can use these too, but I think it's, kind of called Manscaped, right? It's up to you guys, though. The woman could use it on you. We could do it that way, too. So
you could use it on the woman.
Yeah, that's it. Manscaped. Yeah, just don't shave her back though, guys. Let her shave your back. Okay? All right. Manscaped.com. Use promo code ShowerLine. I believe you save 20% on it. Head on over there right now. And also, guys, something really interesting. Flick Chat below, guys. We've teamed up with Flick Chat. There's a link here below. Join the conversation. Tim, I'm chatting with people throughout the games. You could do polls, quizzes, and I'm doing giveaways. I don't have the card on me. Oh, here it is. One sec. I got to pull this up here. Josh Jacobs rookie card, giving this away during Sunday Night Football. Check this out, guys. Mint condition. This one is a 21/99. Only 100 of these gold platinum cards made. A Josh Jacobs, guys, rookie card. If you want to win this, go join below. Flick Chat is the link. And it's fantasy sports chat in there. Well, actually, just go and link below here on YouTube. And if you guys are listening in the car, head on over to my Instagram at Fantasy Football Counselors in my profile. Go join, and you're entered automatically for the signed Josh Jacobs card. Tim, lots going on, man.
Yeah, man. Always moving forward, brother.
All right, let's get to this. Starting with quarterbacks. You know how we like to switch gears right off the bat. Let's go. Switch to quarterbacks. Teddy Bridgewater. I had him last year in one of my lineups. He's amazing. Teddy Bridgewater, 27 points last week. Arguably, probably, most likely, definitively the best matchup versus position versus Atlanta. And again, sometimes matchups don't always do it, but we're giving you guys the optimal players at each position. I like Teddy, don't you?
I'm not a big fan in general, but yes, coming off of a big week, playing one of the weakest defenses this week, why not, man? Roll with them.
Atlanta's given up a lot of points, okay? Kirk Cousins, mediocre past couple weeks, 21 couple weeks ago, 15 last week. Kirk Cousins playing Seattle, should have a good game. Phillip Rivers, only 11 points last week, doesn't look the greatest, but he does have a good matchup against Cleveland. I would, and again, guys, just because some of these guys have good matchup doesn't mean you have to start them. We're giving you the optimal matchups and the other guys that have not so optimal matchups. And you guys can make the executive decision to sit, because sometimes, like last week, perfect example, I started Matt Ryan, benched Aaron Rodgers. I mean, what am I supposed to do now? I bet you if I start Aaron Rodgers, Matt Ryan's going to have a good week. So it varies, guys. So it's up to you guys to make the executive decision. We're just giving you the optimal plays. Like Daniel Jones, third to fourth easiest matchup versus position versus Dallas' secondary. Am I going to start him? No. If you have a better option, do that, okay? Drew Brees, Jimmy Garoppolo, I believe I think he's still banged up. Be cautious. I don't think he's playing. But anyone playing Miami from San Fran does have a good matchup. Justin Herbert, easy matchup versus position.
And Herbert's been good, man. Last 3 weeks, all 20 plus.
Yeah, Herbert's been pretty solid, man. He's starting to air the ball out, taking risks, taking shots downfield, which I like. I like those guys taking the risk. That's what you got to do sometimes. Sometimes you might get an interception here and there. Got to take some risks, okay? Joe Burrow playing Baltimore, not the easiest matchup, but not bad. Ryan Tannehill against Buffalo should be a fair match, and Jared Goff and Deshaun Watson against Jacksonville should do okay. Tim, do you want to go over a couple sits with us? I'll start off here, though. Baker Mayfield versus Indy has got it in tough.
Yeah, I mean, they've been looking – Cleveland as a team has been looking really good. Finally. This is the Cleveland I expected to see last year. They're starting to roll. Baker's still not doing that great himself, though, in those mid-teens. He's a stay away. He's definitely a stay away. They've got such a great running game. They've got good receivers there as well, but still. Right. It just seems to be, as a team, they're doing great. As a player, as a fantasy player, Baker's not there yet.
Who else?
Tom Brady has the second hardest. So coming off of 2 pretty damn good games, are you going to play him? I guess it depends on who your second quarterback is, if you've got one. He's Tom Brady, man. You can still feel pretty confident playing him at almost any time.
Yeah, and I think Godwin's out as well, so you want to be cautious. He lost O.J. Howard, a little banged up there, receiving core, but he's got Gronkowski, he's got Evans. He always finds a way to get the ball downfield, so I think he has a safe game. I really do.
So third hardest matchup here is Mr. Matt Ryan, who I guess I got to sit this week for Joe Burrow.
Yeah, I mean, it's tough. I mean, coming off, the thing is, here's the deal. Me and Tom were talking about this. They're 0-4. But I don't think they're a team that deserves to be 0-4. I mean, they lost 2 games. They're a better team than advertised. Really, they are. It's just weird. They're not – I don't know what it is. Julio's been banged up. That's one. Another thing, it's just like they're not utilizing their weapons. They're not utilizing Todd Gurley, their full potential. It seems like Matt Ryan on certain throws isn't throwing as hard as he could. What's that?
You're forgetting someone else. Hayden Hurst.
Yeah, you love your Hayden
Hurst. To keep beating the Hayden Hurst drum. This guy is being underutilized big time in a throwing team. He's just simply there. He's simply there as a blocker. That's pretty much all they're using him for. It's a pain in the ass, but it is what it is. Last week I picked up Tonyan, thinking Tonyan would have a pretty good game. He's been getting steadily better. And thankfully, I benched Hurst for Tonyan and had a great game.
Oh, good stuff. Nice. That's what you got to do. You gotta be able to try to start the best possible player and the upside player. And he was an upside player, especially with Devontae Adams being out. You definitely had to consider him. But when I look at like week 4 with Hayden Hurst, 6 targets, 4 receptions, not bad. I mean, his numbers would have been inflated with a simple touchdown, but yeah, I mean, he's looking at him. 6 targets is not terrible, Tim, for a tight end.
No, he's not getting huge yardage on those ones that he does get. You know, he's still relying on the touchdowns, and even with a touchdown, he's still basically getting around that 10 to 15 if you're lucky. So nothing good, nothing that I really expected out of him. I was hoping for so much more.
All right, we'll get to tight ends in a sec. Nick Foles, tougher matchup. Derek Carr, tougher matchup. And then Dak Prescott actually has the 6th hardest matchup versus position versus the Giants secondary. But, I mean, you got to start Dak Prescott. This guy is red hot. You can't see.
Yeah, look at these numbers for the last 3 weeks. 44, 34, 42. Like, that's insane.
Kyler Murray, Jets, he should light him up. But it is, I see the thing is sometimes when we pull up our notes, when we look at the matchups in the corners, it says the tough matchup, but the Jets, you got to play anyone against the Jets, right?
Yeah.
Sometimes in secondary, it's kind of matched up base versus corner versus wide receiver, but overall you could crush it. Like for example, as well, Baltimore, right? I got Lamar here as one of the 8th toughest matchup versus position against Cincy's secondary, but their rush defense sucks. They don't play tight ends as hard, for example. But, when you look at it versus corner versus wide receiver, it's a little bit tougher, right? more of a passing type situation. So, yeah, I mean, Lamar Jackson should have a good game. He had a good game last week. I think I just read a quote, Burrow saying, I respect Lamar Jackson, but I hope I don't wish him well against. I don't know how he worded it. I gotta find. He basically says that he wants to win this game. And he hopes he doesn't have as good of a game, basically.
Oh, that would be a huge boost to Burrow's ego, man.
Yeah,
beating a guy like Lamar Jackson.
Yeah, that would be huge for a young guy. So I doubt it's going to happen. Baltimore is going to come in and probably tear it up. But hey, he's optimistic. Burrow's got to play hard against Lamar. Ben Roethlisberger, Carson Wentz, also tough matchups. Some mid-range matchups. Kyle Allen should be getting the start here for Washington. They bench Haskins, clearly not getting the job done. Hopefully Kyle Allen gives them a spark. They are playing the Rams, which is going to be a tough matchup for those guys. Pat Mahomes should light up the Raiders, but it's, again, mid-range matchup. Josh Allen's been red hot. I mean, he's a mid-range matchup as well in regards to difficulty. And who else? Joe Flacco. No one's going to start him at all.
Yeah.
He's now starting for the Jets. What a disaster those Jets are, honestly.
You got to be wacko
if you play Flacco.
You got it.
All right, let's move on to the wide receiver position, Tim. Maybe we'll start filtering it out here by the easiest matchup versus position. I got to start off here by saying, man, oh, man. Adam Thielen and Jefferson been tearing it up against Seattle's secondary this week. I like both Jefferson and both Adam Thielen to have a good game, man. And that's your guy. That's your guy, Adam Thielen.
He's one of my guys, yes. So thankfully, in my the FTFN league, I picked up Saquon to start, and then I went Thielen and Kupp. So I've got pretty damn good receivers. I'm hurting at running back, man. Once Saquon went down, I'm plugging in guys like James White, Naheem Hines. I'm hurting.
See, that's why you got to go robust. I mean, even a guy who went robust RB is hurting at running back. I'll give you an example. Here's a perfect example. In one league, I went Saquon Barkley. I think I went Gurley, and I think I went Taylor, and then I went like Akers. So, like Taylor's not really performing to the optimal. Maybe there's some upside there. Gurley, Gurley had a good week last week, but hasn't been, we lost Saquon, and then Cam Akers got hurt. So 4 running backs and like 2 aren't running at optimal, play, right? Because Saquon went down. That was supposed to be my efficient workhorse. So even if you go robust, it's hard. So that's why you have to go robust, because again, you're going through. You're scrounging. You're hopefully hitting the waiver wire, getting yourself maybe a James Robinson in week 2 or someone like that that's kind of went off, or getting these like Ernest Johnson just went off here a little bit for the Cleveland Browns with Nick Chubb's injury. So if you do that, you literally got to be scrambling the waiver wire to cover yourself, Tim.
Yeah, I'm constantly looking, and I've got some guys that I'm sitting on, like a Madison, for example. So I'm just hoping that mid-season here, I'm going to turn it around and things will get good.
A lot of people say you don't wish injury, and I don't wish injury, but I'm telling you, Cook's going down. I mean, the way they're running him, he will go down. I think it's this week, and I really do. The volume that he's getting for a guy that's gone down 3 years in a row, considering everybody else has gone down, CMC to Saquon to Nick Chubb to Eckler, these guys are dropping like flies. So I can't imagine Dalvin Cook staying healthy at this pace, but I could be wrong, could be completely wrong, and then I will praise him at the end of the year if he manages to pull out the year,
Yeah, I mean, I wish him the best. He's great to watch. He's a fantastic player, but like I said, I'm sitting on Madison. So if he does happen to go down or he can't play, it's good for my fantasy team. But as far as football, I want Cook in there.
All right, a couple easier matchups here. Let's keep going here. I like the Giants secondary against Dallas, but although Slayton has not been consistent, him and Tate do have a good matchup. You may want to consider them, especially for a value play at DFS. And again, tune in Saturday for the DFS show. Listen, T.Y. Hilton, second easiest matchup versus position. He's been sucking. At this point, you feel like benching him, but I want to warn you that he does actually have a good matchup. He is playing Cleveland secondary, good matchup, done squat so far, and I think it's really because he's not getting targeted by Rivers. I mean, that's got to be the problem. Some people saying he's on a decline. He's just not seeing the targets. I mean, last week, for example, week 4, Zach Pascal, out of all people, is getting 8 targets. He had 3 receptions. T.Y. Hilton had 5 targets, 3 receptions. So Pascal out targeting T.Y. Hilton. So I don't know what's going on there, Tim. I'm shaking my head. What are your thoughts? I don't know.
I was on the T.Y. train. I thought with Rivers there, I thought it would be a nice season for him. Maybe he's not that guy he used to be. It doesn't really matter. I still thought he would do pretty well. Yeah. Let's just say I flat out dropped T.Y. last week.
That sucks, man. I mean, if you look at it, like week 3, he only had 3 targets. He's not getting the targets he's getting. But anyway, I'm just here to tell you he does have an easy matchup. If he gets a target, he will succeed. Very expensive in DFS. DK Metcalf, great matchup versus Minnesota, $7,100 on DraftKings. And Tyler Lockett, also a good matchup. They've been pretty good. Lockett, not the greatest last week. Who else has got a good matchup here, Tim? We want to mention that we've got
big namers. Yeah, I mean, I'm scrolling down, man. I'm scrolling down.
I'm just trying to see here from our list. There isn't anybody that stands out. I mean, you could go possibly here. Debo, if he's healthy, they've got a pretty easy matchup. Anyone playing Miami's got a pretty decent matchup. Tim Patrick, I like his matchup here versus New England. I mean, they play a tough defense overall, but he's been getting the targets. Okay, so Tim Patrick did well last week, 28 points. You may want to consider starting him. And I like Robbie Anderson against Atlanta. I do like him. Everybody was saying DJ Moore is the guy. Robbie proving that he is the guy ahead of him. And I also like Stephon Diggs versus Tennessee. You may want to consider him. He's been pretty red hot as of late. With Josh Allen, him and Allen really connecting. All guys you may want to consider going into this week.
Absolutely.
So let's pull up some sits, Tim. Do you want any sits that you want to mention?
Let me get over here. It takes me a little time. I'm a little older than you, Joe, so I don't know how to use this technology stuff here. So you got guys like Hunter Renfrow, Nelson Aguilar, Cooper Kupp. Oh, he's in tough. Oh no, that's not good for me. But anyways, he's been pretty damn good so far this year. Look for that to continue. The matchup doesn't scare me too much. Mike Evans, tough matchup and banged up. What else we got, brother?
He should be good. I think Evans is good. It's more, he is a little banged up. He has been banged up all off season, all during season, I should say.
A lot of teams are doing that. Let's sit him for the Wednesday sort of thing too. It doesn't matter who the player is, especially their big name guys. A lot of teams seem to be giving them a day off, trying to let them recuperate a little bit. So that could be the scenario as well.
The only thing is he didn't practice.
Yeah,
he should be playing tonight. He is playing Chicago. We got the Bucks game tonight versus Chicago.
Yeah, so Terry McLaurin has a fairly tough matchup, but he's been red hot as well. Do you sit him? Probably not. I mean, you got to have at least 3 in there, right? So,
well, you got the shift now. You've got Allen coming in now. So, is that going to help him? Is that not going to help him? I'd be curious to see how that goes.
Yeah, we've already talked about Atlanta being in fairly tough. So, your guys like Calvin Ridley, Russell Gage, and what do you do there? Julio. Crapshoot as well. Pretty tough matchup. And Ryan being crappy lately, I think I'd be staying away.
Well, Julio's out. I think he's going to be out. Calvin Ridley should be good. Calvin Ridley should get the volume. Julio's been banged up for a while.
Yeah, he might get the volume, but still, just they haven't been performing the way they should perform, man. And a lot of it goes to their defense too. So they had 2 games where they had some pretty serious leads and then just crapped the bed in the second half.
Well, I don't know. I'm hearing he's questionable, but then I'm hearing he's not playing. So I'd be careful with Julio. Even if he plays, he's going to be a decoy anyway. I don't trust him.
Yeah, what was it? A hamstring or a groin, right? So we know that those things can be a big pain in the butt. So even if he's playing, I'm looking for someone else, man. Matchup, banged up, you're out.
Now, a lot of people are going to be on the Odell train. I want to let you know, 9th hardest matchup versus position versus Indy. He had a phenomenal game last week. I'm not expecting this to happen again. Understand this was his best game in like 4 years. So I don't see him staying consistent, but I could be wrong.
Yeah. To me, Odell is, we don't even refer to him anymore as a wide receiver 1. He's a 2 or a 3. He's always got a little bit of upside. So he's done okay this year, some, mid-teen games, and then had a huge one last week. So don't expect that again. If he can give you that 15-pointer, you should be pretty happy.
Right. Understand Will Fuller's got a little bit tough. Houston, a little bit tough there with Jacksonville secondary. And also Tyler Boyd, T. Higgins, and the Cincinnati wide receivers have a little bit tough against Baltimore and their secondary. So again, guys, you got to be cautious with your starts and sits. At this point, honestly, you're in week 5. You should and could have a good feeling of your team at this point. You should know who to start, who to sit based on the consistency that you've seen out of your players. If they're not performing, you may want to sit them. Again, there is some instances like T.Y. Hilton, what happened, with him, he's been crap in the bed, but he does have an easy matchup. So that's something you got to weigh out and go with your gut feeling and take a risk. And it depends on who else is on your team. It's so hard to cater to every single lineup, Tim.
Yeah, and once again, guys, so we try to keep this show relatively short and just give you the good information that you need. So we go over the hardest, the most difficult matchups, and we go over the easiest. Those mid-range guys, maybe we don't talk about a lot, but that's because if we don't talk about them, then they should be considered pretty much a damn well good play to play this week. So if we don't mention your guy and you're going to ask us a silly question about, hey, you didn't mention him, should I play him? Yeah, he's a mid-range play. Look for the weekend shows. You better be following all of Joe's socials and stuff, and he'll probably talk about the guy again before the games actually start. But for this show, we talk about the most difficult and the easiest. That's it. Anything in between, you're pretty much good to go.
All right. Ian Thomas at tight end. Moving on to tight end here. I like him. Carolina versus Atlanta. I'm starting Ian Thomas in one of my lineups. Hopefully he does well. Hasn't been consistent, but looks like he found his groove last week, and he has an easy matchup. Hunter Henry, good matchup as well versus New Orleans. Might want to consider him. Eric Ebron, kind of showing he was alive last game he played. Does have an easy matchup against Philly. Tyler Higbee. I mean, this is the guy who had an amazing, week 1 or something like that, or week 2. Listen, Higbee's got a good matchup this week. I mean, he's got to get some volume at some point. If you have a tight end, I don't see any reason why you shouldn't start him. Mo Alley Cox has got a good matchup against Cleveland. Him and Doyle. Doyle not getting the volume as much as we thought. Looks like Mo Alley's kind of been the guy. Big target there for Phillip Rivers. Evan Ingram, who's kind of been crap in the bed, been safe to say the least. That's pretty much all he's been. Has a good matchup here. Janu Smith, he's back. Pretty easy matchup. He was red hot a couple weeks ago. I'll look for that to continue. Jordan Atkins, I mean, he's been pretty safe there with Houston. Has a pretty easy matchup. And you may want to consider Tyler Kroft, even though he had a bad week last week, had a good week a couple weeks ago, may want to consider him as a value DFS play. And then Drew Sample with Baltimore. He's got a relatively easy matchup versus position at tight end. Sample, you think that he's due for kind of a breakout blow up game because if you saw it, I think it was in week 2, we saw Burrow throwing to his tight ends a lot. Sample came in. We had CJ Uzomah go down. Sample came in, but hasn't done much. So it's really weird. I think it's more like Burrow's gravitating to T. Higgins and his wide receivers more. But, maybe for a DFS value play, you may want to consider Drew Sample. He does have a good matchup, Tim.
Yeah. Like you say, for value, he'd be a good plug-in. Other than that, I'm looking at the tight ends. I'm like, my God, man, there's really nobody that's shining consistently.
Yeah, I mean, you got Darren Waller, who's got a mid-range matchup. How do you sit him? Had a pretty decent week last week. The week before, crap the bed. Jimmy Graham, for example, another mid-range matchup. Actually, 11th hardest versus position. Had a good week a couple weeks ago, but last week only 7 points. So, again, there's a lot of volatility up and down with these tight ends, okay?
Even your Mark Andrews, man. I mean, Mark Andrews has had 2 bad games out of the last 3.
Yeah, what are you going to get out of these guys, right? You don't know. Toughest, hardest matchup versus position is Austin Hooper versus Indy. Had a good week last week, 14 points. Mike Gesicki, who's been really, really bipolar in regards to his production here. 30 points 3 weeks ago. Last week, it's 2 weeks ago, 9 points. Last week, 3 points. Very hard to trust with Mike Gesicki. He is playing San Fran. They play tight ends a little bit tougher, so I mean, in one league, I got to start him because I believe Hawkinson. I got Hawkinson as well in one league, so I may have to start Gesicki. But you never know. Some of those weeks where you think you want to sit somebody, they go off, Tim. That's just
absolutely. Yeah.
Another guy here, Travis Kelce. I mean, you can't sit him, but 4th hardest matchup versus position, but you can't sit him. Also, Kittle. So the top 2 tight ends, pretty much on paper, have tough matchups versus position. But I mean, George Kittle, he is just tearing it up. He's playing running back, he's playing wide receiver, he's playing tight end. He's an all-purpose player in regards to San Fran. They're using some amazing plays and getting him involved. I love him again. Doesn't matter how hard his matchup is versus position.
Yeah, I'm not sold on that sale right there, buddy. But last week he absolutely killed it, So do they go to him again? Is he the guy? Probably. San Fran is so banged up right now. It's unbelievable.
They are. Hayden Hurst, 9th hardest versus position. So are you starting Hurst this week, Tim?
I have to. I'm not going to pick anybody up. So Tanyan is on a bye this week.
Yeah, Tanyan's on a bye. So, all right, let's move on here. That's it for tight end. Jimmy Graham, Mark Andrews, again, mid-range match. All right, let's go to the running back position. All right, here we go. I like running backs, Tim. I really, really do. Although you are struggling with running backs. So I feel
hey, you're not doing so hot yourself, you said even. So
yeah, in the one league, I'm getting crushed. Okay, so Clyde Edwards-Helaire, Listen, Clyde Edwards-Helaire, easiest matchup versus position. He's been pretty, like, he hasn't been wow outstanding, but he's been pretty solid. So Clyde Edwards-Helaire, fire him up. I like him. Don't you, Tim?
Yeah, I've been one of those guys that's been talking not necessarily crap about him, but I said I need to see. I need to be shown how good he is. Mid-range.
Yeah.
Not an RB1, RB2.
All right. James Robinson, great matchup versus Houston. I like him this week. He's been really solid, really consistent. Fire him up. Now, this is exciting. Todd Gurley, okay? He's got a great matchup versus Carolina. Now, here's the deal. He had a great week last week, safe week the week before. Todd Gurley needs to be used more. That's the bottom line. I'm seeing Ito Smith get involved too much for my liking. Brian Hill coming downfield. I don't like it, Tim, and hopefully things change here. I don't know when it's going to change, but I hope they start using Todd Gurley, and this is the week he blows up. This is the week.
I think you got to realize, man, he's not the player you want him to be. He is super talented, but his body is not capable of handling the workload anymore. That's the problem here.
I disagree. He looks really good on the runs he did. I don't know whether he's being sidelined because he's hurting. We don't know that. But when he gets in the field, he's running hard.
The warning signs were there. I would attribute it to his health. You know, like I say, I think when he is on the field, yeah, he shuts up and he does what he has to do. But when he comes off that field, he probably needs to come off, and that's going to prolong him through the season.
Listen, there's no time to preserve him at this point. They're 0-4. It's a must-win game. This is their season on the line. They got to win. They got to go on like a eight game tear here of win streak. So, I mean, Todd Gurley, they're going to play him. They're going to play him hard. He's got a good matchup. Love it. Value play here, Frank Gore. He's been crap in the bed, but he does have a good matchup here against Arizona. But, I mean, how do you trust him? I think Le'Veon Bell, though, should be back in the lineup. Make sure you guys tune in to the Sunday show. I'll give you all the details on that. Every Sunday morning, I do a last-minute news notes. And David Johnson has to go off this week. He's been safe at best. 11 points last week, 13 the week before. Dropped the ball near the goal line last week. I mean, I don't know what to tell you, but he does have a good matchup this week against Jacksonville. I'm firing up Todd Gurley and David Johnson and hoping for a huge week out of my guys. Really.
So I told you, week one, I think you were kind of gloating that Johnson and Gurley both looked pretty good, and I was like, it's 1 week. David Johnson, and who was the other one? Helaire. Helaire looked really good week one too, and I was like, Joe, man, I wasn't impressed. There were huge holes. Yeah. Johnson looked a little slow and sluggish, and he just was able to get it done. In a way, I say I was right. You know, like David Johnson's still just not the old David Johnson that you want, not the guy from 3-4 years ago. He's not able to pound it in there the way he used to.
You know, a lot of people knocking me on him, but hey, I got him rounds 3 to 4. But guess who the biggest bust is? The next guy here who's got the 7th easiest matchup versus position is Kenyon Drake playing the Jets. 4 points last week, 9 the week before, 12 the week before that. He's supposed to be the guy, but Chase Edmonds outperformed him last week. Chase Edmonds, the better running back, and Chase Edmonds is the guy to have. Benjamin has not been worked in yet. Hopefully they work him in. But Kenyon Drake, I mean, years to hours were not wowed. I wasn't sold, and people were drafting a late first round, early second round pick on a guy that wasn't proven. So you can knock me as much as you want about David Johnson, but he is outperforming him completely, and I didn't have to pay second round to get him. So
we talked about Drake a lot, even in the offseason and the preseason. We said, like, this is a guy who might throw up a few really good games, but in general, stay away from him. You know, as a DFS play, he's someone to look at. Other than that, forget it. And now with Chase Edmonds kind of coming on, I would say Drake drops even further on my DFS list.
Easily. Devin Singletary, good matchup. Zach Moss maybe back, might get some work this week, but Singletary has been pretty decent. They're not running the ball as much as they used to, but he's getting involved in the passing game. May want to consider starting him. Raheem Mostert, I think he is he banged up? I see him questionable, listed, limited in practice. McKinnon was kind of the guy last week. I don't know if Mostert's going to be back, but listen, McKinnon's the guy there as of right now. Consider starting him. Good matchup. And then this disaster I'm staying away from, but they do have a good matchup versus position against Cincy, Swiss cheese of a rush defense, Mark Ingram, Dobbins, and Gus Edwards. But again, you're rolling the dice as to who is going to get the ball. I hate it, Tim. I hate that committee, and I told people to stay away from it.
Yeah, so what I'm seeing there, though, is Mark Ingram would probably be the goal line guy. So if you're looking for any one of the three, I'm going with Ingram strictly on that.
Yeah, I saw him smash some balls in there near the goal line. I think it was last week. So, yeah, he's the goal line guy. Miles Gaskin here. Let's go to the tough matchups here.
Hang on. Let's give this guy an honorable mention. Devontae Freeman has a fairly easy matchup. Should see the workload there. I think he might be a good play this week, guys. Keep an eye on him.
Yeah, he got going. He put up 11 points last week. Got a little bit going last week, but that O-line is terrible. At this point, me and Tom were talking about it. I mean, the Giants, the Jets, teams like that, they're probably looking to lose moving forward because they want to get the Trevor Lawrence sweepstakes pick. They're in the draw for that because they want the best possible player out of the draft next year. So you got to wonder when these guys are going to look to retract. So I'm not seeing the Giants and the Jets doing anything amazing because they probably want that first overall pick.
Yeah, but Freeman is a nice value pick for your DFS plays. So keep him in mind. He's got a pretty easy matchup. I think he'll put up some decent points for you this week.
All right. Miles Gaskin, tough matchup versus San Fran. Let's go through the tough matchups. Miles Sanders, tough matchup against Pittsburgh, the Steel Curtain. And he's not coming off a hot week, Miles Sanders. 10 points last week. Kareem Hunt. I mean, you got to look at him as well. I mean, Nick Chubb being down. He does have a third hardest matchup versus position versus Indy. It'd be interesting to see how he's going to do there. I mean, they are a tough defense, and they brought in D'Ernest Johnson. If you guys picked him off waiver wire, a lot of people are expecting a big game out of D'Ernest Johnson, who had a decent game, 10 points last week, but he was getting involved in the rushing game there, running the ball a lot. Johnson's got a tough matchup. So does Kareem Hunt. So just want to be aware of that, temporary expectations. And then Dalvin Cook, coming off a red-hot 32 points last week, does have it in tough against Seattle. Fifth hardest versus position. So I'd be curious to see what happens with Dalvin Cook this week coming off that red hot week. And can he stay healthy moving forward?
Yeah, to me, it doesn't matter that he's got the fifth hardest against the rush because he is that receiving back. He will get the points one way or the other. Dalvin Cook is still a pretty secure one. However, he is at a pretty hefty price on DFS.
Yeah, absolutely. Alvin Kamara, you got to start him. He got a sixth hardest matchup versus position. But you can't sit him, right? Doesn't matter how tough his matchup is.
Guy's been killing it this year.
Especially in year long, right? Joe Mixon, I mean, coming off a phenomenal week last week. 45 points. Had the game of his life. Everyone's on the Mixon train now. Done nothing the first 3 weeks. Then he comes out, have a 45-point game. Everyone's on train. But, let's temper our expectations. He is playing Baltimore this week. You got to start him if you have him, but I'm personally don't trust him. I don't.
Yeah. Don't be expecting even a 25-point game. To me, he's lucky this week if he pulls a 15 out.
Another one here that you want to be cautious of, had an amazing week last week, Melvin Gordon, but I heard Philip Lindsay is back in the lineup. He's healthy. They are playing New England, so a lot of people again on the Melvin Gordon train. I'm telling you guys, temper your expectations there as well.
Yep.
Jonathan Taylor, 10th hardest matchup versus position, and David Montgomery's got it in tough a little bit versus Tampa Bay tonight. Again, David Montgomery, Tim, I'm a little disappointed. He's anticlimactic. I don't see him doing anything special. You got to give up on that guy.
Yeah, I gave up on him a long time ago, man. So to me, he's an RB3 with some upside.
All right, man. That wraps it up. Did we miss anything? We got every position here, I think.
I mean, do you want to talk about your boy from last year who's got a relatively easy mid-range, Derrick Henry? Look for him to run hard this week.
Yeah, he's consistent. He's getting a lot of volume, a lot of attempts. He's always going to plug away and give you 15 points as a floor. I mean,
it's still a pretty high price on DFS this week too, though.
Pretty much a given. So, I mean, that wraps it up, guys. Leave your starts and sits questions below. Smash thumbs up. It really helps the channel. And head on over to manscaped.com and get your buzzer, guys. Good Christmas present, guys. It's beginning to look a lot like Christmas.
So one thing Joe has been saying for the last little while is hit the thumbs up because every time you do, Tim grows a hair. I want to let you guys know, you probably can't see it, but I saw like a darkie over here, like one dark hair and then like one over here. It's happening, guys. Keep it going. I need it.
We got to say that at the beginning of the show because there's more people tuning in at the beginning, and now you got to tell them that.
Bring back my 80s hair.
All right. The mullet's coming back.
Hey, it was never a mullet, but I had long hair.
Sure it was.
Had the rat tail back in the day even.
Oh, my God. All right. I could see Tim at the old arcade playing,
yeah, the good life.
Pac-Man at the arcade or Mortal Kombat 1 with the little tail in the back. All right, guys, we're out. Thanks for being here, guys. Good luck. Week 5 fantasy football is upon us. And, of course, make sure you guys are following all the links below, including follow us on Flick Chat, guys, to win that Josh Jacobs card. All right, guys, we're out. Talk soon.
Have a good one, everybody.